Orale! What's up, homies? In today's episode, we interview one of our friends that we go way back with. He's a doctor in an undisclosed location in the United States. We talk Tenet, cause it's Turnstile Thursday. We talk the Rona, cause he's a doctor. We also go over Deontay Taylor fight and much more. You're gonna want to listen to this one.
Gave him the money to make it. Gave him the money to make it, and it's not made in English.
Yeah,
it's entirely in Korean.
It's in Korean, but they do have a solid English dub and subtitles. But I was like, man, if they paid for it and didn't even make it in English, but I guarantee they're going to make us an American version of Squid Game.
They do have English speaking characters right in the middle, the VIPs or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they do have I was waiting for when the white people were going to show up in this. I was like, okay, it's all Asians, and then one guy who had the mask on, I was like, man, he kind of looks like he might be a white guy by the shape of the hair or whatever. And my girl was like, nah, he's not white.
Nope. You know what I always thought would be cool is like if you make a movie in another country, why don't you just put the Americans in subtitle? That would be interesting to me to see a movie where we were considered like the foreigners as opposed to, the other way around. Like every movie I always watch, they always try to put everybody else in subtitles. I'm like, it'd be funny to see us show up in the middle and then put us in subtitles. Like, you know what I
mean? The world speaks English.
Well, I mean, we people who speak Spanish, we see that shit whenever we watch Narcos. It's like we don't need the subtitles.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you could make Narcos and then you could be like, okay, this is just like we just speaking Spanish, and then when the Americans come in, we subtitle that. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Now we had a Tenet conversation to finish. And since we've all watched Tenet, I think Dr. Manhattan only watched it once, right?
Yeah, I just watched it once.
Okay.
It's all right. I've only seen it twice, so that's about once.
And that's a shame. Support the black man and watch that movie multiple times.
I'm saying it's really heavy though. So for me to watch it again, that's like an investment. Like I really got to sit down and be like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna watch it. So I'm kind of hesitant to watch it again because of the time. Like I got to sit down and commit to it. You know what I mean?
Look, yeah. I split it up. Like I watched the first hour and 15, and then I watched the last hour and 15. So yeah, I had to do 2 sittings.
Yeah, I literally have it on while I'm working sometimes. So like I've watched it probably 20 plus times at this point.
It's because you're obsessed with it, bruh.
Yeah. At this point, Tenet is going to be like Dr. Manhattan's obsession with Batman, where Dr. Manhattan used to know all the lines, even the background actors' lines.
Yep.
Yeah,
dude, I was like that with Ace Ventura.
Oh, wow.
Man, I could quote that movie like from beginning to end. The Crow the same way. Interview with a Vampire the same way. That was me.
I should have been that way with Boys in the Hood and Minister Society because my homie came up on the bootleg before the movies came out, and we watched that shit on repeat all day long.
I don't want any trouble. Just get out.
The whole summer. You want some cheeseburgers?
Yeah, I got some cheeseburgers.
Well, I gotta say though, Tenet and I thought Inception. I mean, they're not perfect, but that's some high-minded, sci-fi there. I mean, it's pretty high-minded. It's not your average, I mean, you know what I mean? It's pretty cerebral to, it's really good to be that cerebral. You know what I mean? Like most of the other sci-fi I like is not that cerebral. It's really a lot of action and stuff like that. This is really not a lot of action. It's really just like a thought experiment. So I think it's pretty, I think they're not perfect, but they're damn near perfect.
One of the things that we discussed was how, speaking of thought
the audience, you realize the audience right now is like, who's Dr. Manhattan? Like, do they have the real Dr. Manhattan on?
Yeah, I'm asking the same thing. I'm like, who is Dr. Manhattan?
I mean, now, you know, he is
So-
tall and black, so
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
So audience, Dr. Manhattan is one of the more successful people that graduated high school with us. He's a doctor in an undisclosed state at an undisclosed city, an actual medical MD. MD, right?
on.
Yeah.
What's your if you don't mind me asking, what's your specialization?
Adult medicine.
Right on.
Yeah.
But to go back to what I was saying about Tenet really quickly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think we've all pretty much agreed to some degree that Tenet is a good visualization of a thought experiment, Maxwell's demon, which is also a thought experiment that visualizes how the second law of thermodynamics is broken, for the lack of a better term, or violated. There you go. So yeah, we've had what, 3 or 4 pretty extensive conversations about Tenet, and we're probably gonna have another one after this.
Yeah.
I mean, we just keep on hopping on that turnstile. Can't help it, because you're right. It is very cerebral. It's like you're watching the movie, you're paying attention. At least this is how it is for me. This is my process. I'm watching the movie and just randomly out of nowhere, a few days, a few hours, whatever have you, after watching the movie, I'll come up with an idea. Well, what if it's this? What if, kind of a lot like H8 Jones, actually, he'll just come up with, like something, because, it's in his mind. It's in his subconscious already, and the fact that it's playing in the background while he's working, that's probably contributing to, these wild ideas that he gets.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the most of the ideas were given to me by watching videos about Tenet.
Right.
And then
Well, go ahead.
people pose questions like the last one we're on is Neil Max.
Right.
There's evidence to point that says, yeah, he should be, but then there's the science of the movie and it says he can't be to some degree.
Right.
Now, I did talk to somebody over last weekend about Tenet, somebody who didn't like the movie,
right,
because he found it a little bit not confusing, but he didn't see how things lined up. It's like, if they're in the future and they know things are happening in the past, then they should already know stuff. So the bad guys basically should have won, kind of deal. Like he didn't get that part. It's like, how do they not know anything?
Right. How do he wasn't paying attention to the whole time pincer move thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like the whole deal was they were doing things that are going to be recorded no matter what, like basically breaking into a house and stealing stuff without moving any of your furniture,
Right.
And he didn't get that part, but he did convince me that when they're inverted, they still age normally.
Right.
So, because I was running that past him, he's like, nah. And he gave me, I forgot what he told me, but he convinced me that, okay, when they're inverted, they're still aging forward. So they're not going to be reverse aging.
Well, but if you think about it though, right? Like in real life, I mean, when things happen, sometimes things can happen so fast, you don't really even know what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Like it happened so fast that you really didn't even know what happened. So then just imagine then looking at that same thing in reverse that you didn't really even understand the way, like going forward, now trying to look at it backwards. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but
I found out the crux of this movie is watching the Freeport
scene.
Yeah, the Freeport scene. If you watch both, if you watch the original break-in that was basically going forward in time, and then immediately watch the version going reverse in time where you're seeing the inverted viewpoint, everything starts to make more sense, because that is in essence, it's a pincer movement to a degree, but it shows you all the theories that are going on, like, the moving upstream against time and everything else, and the way that the the fight goes on between Denzel Jr. with himself, the way when you watch them back to back, you kind of see the movements and how they interact. So that was another point where my homie got confused because he said it looked funny, but I'm like,
right.
When you watch it enough, you'll see like their movements. It's like I'm moving backwards, but I'm fighting you forwards, and vice versa. And when you pay attention to that scene, that shit deserves some kind of award.
Yeah, well,
it's just the thought of it, the planning of it, the execution of it. I thought it was awesome.
Well,
because there were some gaps in there. I'm like, why is this way and that way? And then after you watch them both, you kind of get it.
Well, I'm definitely hooked by the science of it. I mean, I definitely think just the concept of, moving backwards through time, I just think it's very cool. But I think the main thing I like between Inception and Tenet is just, I'm a traditionalist. I like the whole idea of characters interacting with one another and the whole conflict sitting around the people being who they are, you know what I mean? And so kind of like with Inception, it's because of who he is like, that's the problem. That's part of the conflict, just like the actual circumstances that they're dealing with. Part of the conflict is who he is as a person, which makes him only able to, like, there's certain things he can do and certain things he can't do because of his internal constitution. The same thing with Tenet is kind of like, he is who he is, and that's part of the problem. You know what I mean? And so I like that. I like that internal conflict as well as the external, like physical conflict between we got to get over here and get this and get up there and that type of thing. I like the internal conflict, especially Inception, because that part at the end where the dude opened the safe and found the pinwheel. I mean, that junk was just perfect. It was like a kiss of death. Like, the pinwheel, and he saw it and he started crying. It was just like, you couldn't plan it better than that. It was just perfect. And it was all because of who he was and his set of circumstances. And that thing just went right to the heart and hit him, and he was gone,
Right. Another thing that something screams every time I watch Tenet, especially the reverse entropy, negative entropy thing that's happening, going backwards in time, going forwards in time. There's something about causality that needs to be investigated further. Like, I think Nolan uses causality as a very good plot device to move the story forward. So I got to watch it again so I can explain it further and actually take notes this time, because there's the first couple of times that I've seen it, it's just I'll just watch it and pay attention, but
I have to check. There's this guy who wrote a book on Tenet, on Inception, and he broke it down to where the Inception is a metaphor for the movie industry. So each character is a element of filming staff, from makeup, special effects. Hobbs is clearly the director. The Japanese guy is the producer, executive producer, and each person is a role in the filmmaking process as far as a film crew kind of deal.
I got a question. Let me ask you this. So, like, let's say, like, so the future, right? I mean, the future is dependent on what you do now, right? I mean, if you do something now, that affects what happens in the future, right?
Supposedly. So there's science that says all time happens at once.
Yeah, like later.
Which is what they're doing in this movie, and also in
but I guess what I'm saying,
Interstellar dealt with the same thing. So if you go into the fifth dimension, all time happens at once, kind of deal.
Yeah, but in Interstellar, though, that's my point. Is like in Interstellar, if you go back in time, what's to say that whatever you go back in time and do is not responsible for what's happening right now? You know what I mean? So that's
both movies do that. So in Interstellar, homie gets into the time bubble and he communicates with himself and his daughter in the past and sends them the code, which virtually sends him to the bubble eventually. So it's a manifest destiny thing. In Tenet, it's the same thing. If dude starts Tenet in the future, then it's initiated through this event, right? So like he gave birth to himself.
Yeah.
Yes, I think both movies definitely have that deterministic vibe to it. But to go with your question earlier about if you go back in time, then who's to say that doesn't affect your present circumstance, right? It doesn't affect you. Who's to say it's not going to affect you right now? And
what's to say that you're going back not responsible for your current circumstance? You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one answer that I've come across that actually makes sense to me is that whenever you go back in time, that whole grandfather paradox thing, it doesn't really happen, because when you go back in time, then that becomes your future. So it's kind of like in Loki, where you have that it branches off.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was gonna say. That's the other end, is like every time you would go back in time and manipulate anything, you would end up branching off into a parallel universe or timeline.
Right.
But that's the beauty, I think, of Tenet, because it's the only movie that makes it make sense that you're on one timeline and manipulating it, because you never left the timeline. You're just flowing backwards,
right.
So it's not the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like, that makes a lot more sense than Terminator. Terminator's fun, but this makes way more sense.
I hear you.
Yeah,
it's definitely a more involved film than Terminator.
Homeboy has some explaining to do, because he said Neil was Max.
Yes.
And he gave me time code, which I watched.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything that I didn't see before. So explain to me what I saw between that time code that's supposed to tell me that Neil is Max.
He refuses to answer any of Kat's questions about him or her son, for one. And whenever he gets asked a question about his identity, he just doesn't respond. Like, he doesn't lie about it, but he just doesn't say anything at all.
I mean, okay.
And that's because it's human nature to, like, I mean, you can explain it off as, he doesn't say anything to her because she's instrumental in the killing of Sador. But when she asks, when he says that anything and everything, and anyone and everything that will be gone, she asked, including my son. He didn't answer that question. He stuck a needle in her arm and said, the more you rest, the better you'll be. The faster you'll heal.
I watched a video and somebody said it was very whack for them to just throw out that random ass line like that.
Well, the thing, so if you want to go by the whole human nature thing, like, so why wasn't he more concerned when Kat got shot? You know what I mean?
Because he already knew the outcome.
He already knew she was gonna live.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it is that. And let's see, how can I put this? He already knew that she was going to live, so there is no need to panic, right? Do you know what I mean?
True. That's true.
Yeah. He already knew she was going to live, even if, especially if he was her son. Yeah, absolutely. And the other reason why he couldn't possibly tell her that he was her son is because her need to save her son is what motivates her to kill Sador. Otherwise, if she'd have known that Neil was Max, she would have been like, oh, well, then I don't need to kill this motherfucker.
And therein lies the beauty. She is who she is. You know what I mean? Like, her son is what she lives for. And if he's in risk, then even though she's not a killer, she got to do what she got to do because she is who she is. And he is who he is. And he's not changing. So the only thing you can do is kill him.
Yeah.
The math still doesn't add up though.
It's 2 + 2 = 4.
No. I'm saying with the age.
I mean,
with the ages.
This is definitely like the spinning top of this movie. It's figuring out his thing, because I'm like, in order for him to be in this movie during this time, at this age, he would have to sit in that fucking thing for like 15 years, going backwards in time.
But we established that it's instantaneous, isn't it? Well, no. he has to see himself going to the turnstile, right?
Yeah. I mean, but what I'm saying is, if he's the kid, then that means he lives as an adult, like goes to college and whatever, because he has multiple degrees and shit. And then he would have to get in the turnstile and run it back at a certain point to be in the movie at this age. So he would have to live an inverted life for 10, 15 years.
He's CIA, he would have done that.
Yeah. I mean, because they do have the shifts, you know, so I'm like, that does support like long-term travel, because Sater went back 3 months or whatever the fuck, or something like that, right?
Well, right. So they say that they invert like the gold and shit, and then they bury it, right?
Yeah. But it travels through time in there. So, but it's not an organic, you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't need air to eat, breathe, sleep, and whatnot. So it'll show up instantaneous to them, but it's physically traveling through time, sitting in that cell.
Also, say what?
So maybe they Ripley'd him.
They Ripley'd him?
Yeah. You put him on ice and let him chill for.
Oh yeah, put him in cold storage.
Right. Well,
that's a possibility.
The other thing too, we in a previous conversation in a podcast that we had, I think it was you, Homeboy, who asked, well, if you go through negative entropy like you do in Tenet, and if Max was Neo, and he stays inverted for that long, and he becomes essentially his younger self, that whole time paradox thing, then wouldn't he forget his education because of de-aging?
Well,
apparently not, because that badass motherfucker Quicksilver guy, he apparently didn't forget all of his shit. He's from the future too.
Quicksilver?
Yeah, the guy who played Piotr in the Marvel movies.
Oh, what's his name? The bad motherfucker, the one who says, "If you can find me, I'll kill you," or "If I find you, I'll kill you."
Yeah. The guy says that need to know, and you don't. Any more stupid questions?
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
He's not necessarily from the future.
Yeah, he is.
What's the proof?
Neil tells the protagonist he's one of us.
Yeah, because he's operative right there.
Goddamn you, Nolan.
Yeah, no. He's from the
They ain't
future
all
too.
Necessarily future force motherfuckers.
Yeah, they are.
No, they could be hired agents, like just like the scientist. She's an agent of now for Tenet. They could have been hired any kind of way. Same way Sater's guys are not from the future. They're just
so you're gonna tell me you're gonna stand in that alley and tell me
yes
that Neil is the only one who went back in time.
Yeah.
I call the bullshit flag. I'm throwing down the bullshit flag. That makes no sense.
I might add that I am watching these little icons as though like you guys are real people too. It's kind of
weird. See, I told you that shit worked.
I don't know why I'm watching it. I'm like literally watching it like I have to watch it while you're talking or something. It's weird.
Now bust this. How is it, look at the beauty of when I talk, my hands actually move.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like I find myself staring at it like, I'm actually looking at you, which is kind of I mean, like, you know, like, why am I watching this? Like, it's not.
It works. You know, we had a guest a couple weeks ago. He's a gamer, and he streams online. He streams his gameplay online, and he said something similar in that, you know, like it is kind of weird. Like, you know, I'm the only one here who doesn't have a tune, and I kind of feel like the odd man out. But at the same time, it's like, you know, I am digging this, you know, this animated style that you guys have going.
Yeah, we got to get a random guest cartoon. Well, the problem is the guest would need Adobe.
Yeah.
In order.
Well, there is a workaround where I would have to feed the guest audio into Adobe Character Animator that I would have. Yeah.
And do it in post.
Yeah, that's possible, but we don't have the technology at this moment in time, nor the funds to purchase said technology. So, you know, when we get our merch shop up, push us like crack.
Yeah, listeners, we need sponsors.
Yeah, exactly.
We're setting up a Patreon.
That's right. Donate to Chino and Homeboy's weed fund.
That's right. Right on.
So, but yeah, no, I'm telling you, Max is Neil, and there's no way that they didn't send back more motherfuckers if they sent back Neil.
I don't know, man. I still think I don't know, because you know, we had a conversation offline. Well,
let me
on the
Discord. Real quick.
Yeah.
They sent Neil back because he's integral to the fight because it's his daddy.
Well, not only that, but he does get shot in the face.
Yeah.
And saves the protagonist. So, you know,
yeah,
has to be sent back.
And the protagonist knows it, so he has to be sent back. So that doesn't qualify that everybody else is a future force.
Nah, I think they sent more motherfuckers back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did y'all see the other time travel movie with Chris Pine, or is it Chris Pine or Chris Pratt? Chris Pratt.
Oh, we did. We talked about that one. What was it called? Future War?
Oh yeah. That was like one of the first ones.
The Tomorrow War.
We did with me as a guest on.
Okay. Yeah.
That movie was fun but stupid. Like, you know.
It was entertaining. I mean, it wasn't, you know, I mean, it had a lot of problems, but it was entertaining. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Fast and Furious type shit. You know, you like the camaraderie, you like the characters, you like the chemistry, and it's a fun enough script, you know, to keep you entertained.
I guess the basic problem for me was just this whole idea of like, so you're gonna send me back with these are like creatures, like monsters, basically, like that. I mean, you know, these guys are unloading on these things with, you know, at point blank range, just drilling them with bullets, and you can't kill them. I mean, so I'm like, why are y'all sending me back with these 9mm rounds and stuff? Can I get some 7.62 or something? Like what? Like, why are we shooting 9mm rounds at these like impervious creatures? Like, this makes no sense. That
why
giving them NATO rounds?
Yeah, where's the phosphorus tipped, depleted uranium bullets? You know, fucking just give me a grenade launcher.
Yeah, or like we jump back and hell, we like 100 feet off the ground, and I mean, like, what the hell?
No, that was the best cliffhanger in that fucking movie, though. Because you thought they were about to land regular, and it was gonna be like 20 people, not 20, but they had a whole thing of people. When they start falling from the sky, I start laughing my ass off.
I was like, I'm not going. You talking about dropping me 5 to 10 feet off the ground? I'm not going. Like, hell, I don't know.
Right. That was my thing. So when they said, like, in the brief, right, you know, well, you'll have a 5 to 10 foot drop, and I'm like, still, I mean, 5 to 10 foot, it's still significant, right? Then
you can die from a 4-foot drop.
Right.
Like, what if I fall from 5 feet and break my leg? Hell, now a broken leg in the future. Like, I mean,
right, exactly.
I would not have gone just on that alone. They were like 5 feet off the ground. Now, y'all get that shit to like maybe 12 inches off the ground, and I might go.
Right. Like exactly. So you mean to tell me you guys can fucking time travel? You have temporal mastery of what's going on, but somehow your geospatial, shit is off. Like what the fuck?
And
Get your fucking life together.
That shit was in direct conflict to what we saw at the Super Bowl because the motherfuckers walked out those fucking portals.
Yeah, like y'all can't find me in a pillow factory or something, or like.
I'm like, why'd y'all show up walking out, but when we go back, we gotta fall a couple of feet.
Yeah, y'all walked
like that didn't make sense.
I got a broken leg in the future in Manhattan, in Miami.
Yeah.
Here's
contrary soft water.
Contrary to popular opinion, 5 feet is a lot of height.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a bit. Here's another question. Now that Dr. Manhattan has brought up the what is it, the problem with the hardware they were sending back. Like, you could send back guns. Why couldn't you send back, like, I don't know, tanks, Humvees,
energy weapons?
Yeah. These Humvees and stuff. I'm like, really? Like, y'all don't have no tanks or MRAPs or nothing? Like, or better yet, why are we sending people in on foot when we got planes? Like, if y'all can drop bombs, then why are we fighting this war?
Why are we sending back Predator drones?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that didn't make sense. Like, they can carpet bomb areas. So how are these things even alive? Because you just evacuate and carpet bomb.
And no Air Force. I mean, so like, you mean tell me they just run around on the ground like regular animals? Like,
they didn't really explain how fast they spread and made it make sense.
My favorite part is like, two favorite parts. When they find the queen, it's like, let's go in there and like wrestle her down by hand. Like, really? Like, it's like a damn wrestle this thing down by hand. Are you kidding me? Like, and then in the end, they find the spaceship and they're like, let's go in. I'm like, I'm not going in that fucking thing. Like, we got the bombs. We blew it up anyway. Can we just blow it up and be done? And like, not like, why do we have to go in and inject them personally? Like, I didn't really get that.
Yeah, you got to blow it up from the inside. You got shielding on the outside.
No, but I'm saying they ended up blowing it up anyway. So why not just go up and blow it up to begin with? Like, why go in and be like, let's inject them with the poison? Why not just?
Oh, that's true. That was a waste of time. Like once you found the ship, we blow them all up. We all good.
Who the fuck approved this movie?
Because literally, they didn't have enough juice to kill all of them in there.
So you're telling me that Dr. Evil approved this terrible, terrible idea?
Yep.
Yeah.
You mean Lex Luthor?
Lex Luthor, yeah.
No, I think he's Dr. Evil.
I think it's a perfect example though of like how, like, it would have been nice to see them go back, and when they uncover the spaceship, that's what leads to the whole process. That to me, I thought that was a better ending.
I'm sure that's going to be the next movie. Is like some of them survived and we still got a problem.
Yeah.
They'll retcon that shit.
Yeah. Because technically he altered the timeline.
Yeah.
By changing the past with what he knew from the future. So there's all kind of possibilities on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. What else is up on our list?
Hold up.
I mean, we got an MD.
Deontay Wilder got knocked the fuck out.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
I didn't watch it all.
I
didn't watch it at all. I just saw like pictures on Instagram.
I did.
How many rounds did this fight go?
11.
Oh, so
11.
Oh damn. Okay, went far.
He knocked him down twice in the
fourth round. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Dante got knocked down twice in the fourth?
No.
He knocked Tyson Fury down twice, like solid knockdowns in the fourth round.
Okay, people claimed that it was a long count on those.
So here's what happened. So the third round, Deontay Wilder won the first round. He was trying to set up his jab. He was jabbing the body. And then in the third round, he got dropped. And at that point, he was done. Whatever strategy he had went out the window. He was headhunting at that point, because that's the only thing that he could do. Because I think at that point he realized, okay, this is a bad motherfucker. Like I'm not going to
outbox. Yeah,
Tyson Fury. I don't care what. If you're a student of the game, if you're a student of baseball, you will see how well Tyson Fury boxes. He doesn't look like he's dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's, you know, he's
looks
rotund.
goofy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he looks funny, you know, but that man can box. And you know, as big as he is, he's 6'9". You know, I don't care who you are, you get hit by a fucking 6'9" motherfucker who weighs almost 300 pounds, you're going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess Deontay Wilder came in heavy. Like he was still within, you know, the weight limit. I mean, it's fucking heavyweight, right? But I guess he packed on a bit more muscle just to have more power. Which, you know, again, if you're a student of the game, just because you look good, just because you have muscles, and just because, you know, you're jacked, it doesn't necessarily translate well into boxing.
Yeah, still got to be an effective puncher.
Right, you still have to move. You got to have that cardio. And Tyson Fury got dropped twice in the 4th round, which evened things up. You know, because Wilder lost the 2nd round and the 3rd round, but because he had those 2 knockdowns, at that point the score was 4-6, 4-6. It was even. And so, you know, everybody had a reasonable expectation that, okay, well, Wilder can turn this around. I mean, he dropped him twice, for fuck's sake. But at that point,
when he dropped him, people were claiming that the 10 count was slow when Wilder dropped.
No, not at all. Wilder was in trouble after he got dropped. Because at that point, from the fourth round on, he was out on his feet. Like
so
there's no way. So
he was defending himself for 4 rounds after that. Damn.
And I mean,
you can see though that like he knocked Tyson Fury down, but he didn't knock him off the hinges. Like he didn't put his lights out. He knocked him down. It was solid. You know, it was bona fide, but he didn't put him out like where he could not continue. He was able to shake it off and get back up and get back in the fight. So he didn't put him out.
And so like really, you know, at that point, the only way that Deontay Wilder could have won that fight is if he lands that ridiculous fucking missile he's got for a right hand and knocks him out cold. That didn't happen because he was gassed. He really didn't know where the fuck he was. You know, like everyone's got a puncher's chance, but he was flat-footed. He really had no defense. He was done. He was out, and the only thing he could have done was, you know, score that one hit to the head, which would have, you know, knocked him out. But that didn't happen, and he lost power.
I think the only way he could have won is he would have had to fight a much more technical fight, and I think that's not really his style. Like he's not get that solid, you know, knockout punch and everything. And I'm like, he just could not do that with Tyson Fury. I think he would have had to fight a much more technical fight, which is not his bag, and he just couldn't. Couldn't pull off.
That's the thing with Deontay Wilder, is that he's got this amazing power. You know, like arguably he might be the most devastating puncher in the history of the heavyweight division, but he just doesn't have the fundamentals. You know, what made Mike Tyson great in his early career was that he had dynamite in his hands, in both hands. I mean, that motherfucker will touch you and you're out, you're done, right? But he also had amazing footwork.
Oh yeah.
His defense. I mean, you could see it in his defense. He had the head movement. You know, he had that peekaboo style, like his hands in front of his face. But his head movement was impeccable. So was his footwork. Like he does this thing that this boxer Lomachenko, who I think is the best boxer in the world right now, Vasily Lomachenko, and the guy who just beat Anthony Joshua, they have the same type of like pivot movement that was taught to him by Lomachenko's dad, actually. And Mike Tyson was doing that shit before any of these motherfuckers were even, you know, thinking about boxing.
Well, I think that's the fatal flaw with Deontay Wilder, and this is what I tell a lot of people, is like, you can't be late in age and decide to learn how to take a punch to the face.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And And Deontay Wilder didn't pick up boxing until like his late teens or early 20s.
Yeah, early 20s,
shit like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like that. So I'm like, your brain's soft. You don't have that calluses built up on your brain to take a punch to the face like that. You know what I'm saying? It just
stabs on your brain.
Yeah. I mean, like literally, this goes back to something Denzel Washington said, because he, when he was boxing for training and shit, and I think he started picking up boxing when he started doing when he did the hurricane.
The hurricane, yeah.
And then he started sparring, and they were taking headshots. And then afterwards, he's like, "Yeah, man, my head feels." He's like, "Yeah, don't worry, you'll get used to it." He's like, after that, he's like, body only.
Yeah, I don't want to get used to that.
It was like I can't be in my 40s learning how to take a punch to the face. Like,
yeah,
that just don't work.
No, but I'm saying, but like, there's a science to it too, though. I mean, basically, when you get hit in the head, your brain rocks around inside your skull, right?
Yeah,
right.
So there's a threshold for, I mean, everybody's different, but for the most part, there's a threshold. If you get hit with enough force, your brain rocks and you're gonna lose consciousness. You know what I mean? It's just as simple as that. And I guess it makes a difference if you're used to being hit like that. But I think for most people, whether you're a boxer or not, you get hit with sufficient force in the head and your brain rocks around in your skull, you're going out. I mean, I don't care if you get hit.
I mean, that's true. But if you look at it, like with Deontay Wilder, the reason why he didn't because of his punching power, his athleticism allowed him not to box. Right. And the moment he gets in the ring with a dude who can outlast his athleticism and actually box him, when he gets touched in the head, he gets tapped.
No, I'm saying, but I think it's sort of like, can you drive while you're asleep? You know what I mean? Like some people, can you drive drunk? You know what I mean? Like some people can like fall asleep, but they still can maintain enough consciousness to steer the car and keep it between the lines until they wake up without crashing, right?
Yeah.
Some people, they get sleepy and then all of a sudden they're asleep and the car goes off the road.
Yeah.
I think it's the same way with boxers. You get hit in the head, you can be on your feet and still knocked out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a tolerance of it that has to be built up and getting punched in the face.
Okay.
And most of the most successful boxers you'll see started off at like 10 years old or some shit like that.
I mean, you can be knocked out on your feet, but still your legs are under you, your hands are up, but you're not really there.
Yeah.
I could just push you over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm saying it boils down to experience and tolerance.
For some people, there's just that's just a natural ability that they have.
Mm.
That like some people, they have to build it up. Other people, I mean, they can take a hit and just keep on trucking forward because that's just an innate physical ability that they have, right? And I think that the boxers that we see that are successful are either like Floyd Mayweather that
doesn't get fucking hit.
He doesn't get hit because he just like hated getting hit and it's like, fuck that. I'm not getting like, Denzel, like I ain't getting hit like that. Hell no, I'm gonna move fast. Or like Butterbean just can take hit after hit after hit after hit. There are just some people that are physically designed that way.
Hey, Butterbean was laying people out though.
Well, yeah, because he could take a fucking hit.
Didn't he eventually like transition to MMA?
I think it's a possibility. I don't know. I think so.
No, I never seen him in MMA.
I think I've seen at least one fight where he had MMA gloves on and MMA trunks.
Oh shit.
Now I didn't watch this fight, right? But I did see headlines in my news app, Smart News. We're looking for sponsors. That is the app I use. But it says here that Deontay Wilder is demanded Tyson Fury's gloves be cut open before their trilogy fight. And now he's complaining that Fury's gloves were tampered with.
I think the long and short of it is that it's really kind of devastating for that dude. I mean, he lost 3 times. I mean, and 2 of them were solid losses. I mean, there's no question.
No, is this the second fight or the third fight?
This is the third fight. The third fight. He lost all 3 fights. The first fight, it was deemed a draw. The second fight.
That was right.
His
first one was a draw, And people said he should have won because he did knock Homeboy down or some shit like that, right?
Well, he knocked him down. I think in like the tail end of the fight. I think the last round. Or
that one was a slow count on that first fight. Because I counted that shit and I was like, that was a little slow. That should have been out.
Right. That's true. I mean, I think I have seen that argument, and I did see the fight, or at least the highlights of the first fight, because I missed that one. The second fight, Deontay Wilder's corner threw the towel in, and so Deontay Wilder says the only reason I lost that fight is because my corner threw the towel in, and I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking the reason why they did that is because you're getting your ass beat, homie. Like
they were saving you, like they were saving you from this ass beating you just got.
Right, like you were holding that L the entire fucking night. Well, you know what I mean? Like,
should he have waived the third fight? Should he have just forgone the third fight? And it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess on the one hand, the only way to redeem yourself would be to fight the fight and win.
Right.
But also, if you lose, I mean, you have a lot more to lose. Like, now that he's lost, I don't really see a way forward for him. I mean, he's a great boxer. I mean, he could still do well, but I think mentally and physically and spiritually, I think he's just kind of wrecked. I don't see how how it was path forward.
He went undefeated for all these years, right?
He's gonna be the next Ronda Rousey, bro.
Right.
We'll see. Bro gonna step out the game because
do some wrestling.
Can't deal with the losses.
Right. Yeah, he gonna do some wrestling. But yeah, like, so when his corner threw that towel in, he fired that trainer, and he hired his, I guess, one of his best friends who has no experience being a fucking cornerman. You know what I mean?
Well, that was gonna be my next question. Like, who did this training?
Malik Scott, apparently.
He has no experience training anybody for a heavyweight match. You know what
right.
I mean? I guess the other question is, like, can we say that that's the mark of a champion, though, right? I mean, in the sense that to redeem himself, what the narrative should have gone is that when he, Tyson Fury's leading the fight, but he somehow figures out the strategy, comes back, analyzes it, puts his plan into motion, and actually successfully knocks out Tyson Fury. I think that's the mark right there of what makes you the champion, is that you're able to figure that junk out, make the necessary adjustments, execute it, and pull out the win, even though it appeared improbable.
But that's what made Floyd Mayweather great. He has this fucking computer in his head that just figures you out. He's able to adjust on the fly. I saw that shit firsthand on the Shane Mosley fight. Like, he got rocked twice. He almost went down, and he figured it out. Like, he was able to weather the storm, and just using that fucking computer that he's got in his head, he was able to figure out his timing and change his game plan.
Yes, for any sport, like Roger Federer in tennis, Michael Jordan in basketball, right. Mike Tyson. It's like any sport. The champion, that's the quality you got to have. You got to be able to analyze the game while you're playing it and make the necessary adjustments on the fly to pull out the win.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people hit on money, but he's. I will say, excuse me, that he's a great. I mean, he's a great defensive boxer. He lives and breathes through counterpunching, but and there's a reason why he's undefeated, because he's just he's able to figure that shit out. He baits you. It's like that whole thing that he does, the shoulder roll, the Philly shell defense. Like, there's a reason why he employs that. It's because it allows him to not take any damage. Like, it might look, for example, like, he's catching the hands, right? But it's just kind of slipping off of him. Like that fight with De La Hoya, where De La Hoya, he got him on the ropes and was throwing flurries. And he was, everything that De La Hoya was throwing, he was either catching or making him slip off his shoulders. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Now, I spoke about Lomachenko earlier, and what I think separates Lomachenko from Mayweather is that you can't hit him. Like, he's got amazing footwork, amazing head movement. It almost seems like he knows what you're going to throw before you even throw it. So he does that a lot like Mayweather does, but he stays in the pocket. He doesn't dance around going backwards like Mayweather does. Like, he's in the pocket. He pressures you, actually. He's a great pressure fighter. And here's the other thing. Like I said, Mike Tyson has done this shit before. The stuff that Lomachenko was doing. But the only reason why we don't really appreciate Mike Tyson's footwork and head movement is because every time he touches someone, they go to the floor and they're out. You know, he's got dynamite.
You literally have to watch Mike Tyson in slow-mo to peep his game.
Right. And this thing is, if you want to see skill, watch the little guys. You know, not to say that Lomachenko doesn't have any knockout power, but he doesn't have the knockout power like a Wilder or Tyson or a fucking Julian Jackson does. You know, he'll knock you out. You know what I mean? But like, it's going to take, you know, like a shot that you didn't see, or, you know, like you're moving forward as he's moving forward, you know, like that kind of stuff. But as far as like, you know, a one punch knockout, it's probably not going to happen. Like, he'll set that shit up. You know, and that's why I think Lomachenko is the best in the world right now, is because he, you know, his footwork is impeccable. He's accurate. He doesn't fucking get tired. The man is a machine. And his to use what Dr. Manhattan said earlier, he's cerebral. You know, like, he doesn't just work on his movement. He doesn't just work on his rhythm. You know, the punching, the boxing, you know, he trained his mind. So that's what sets him apart. But anyway.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, boxing is some shit. I love it. It's probably like the only sport I watch now is just combat sports.
Yeah, I miss doing all that shit, man. Like
basketball and football, I don't even fuck with anymore. I'm
a little too broke to start training again, but I'll get there. We need sponsors to fund Chino's combat sports reemergence.
Yeah. So, now we're gonna have to pause for a break, but I do have something I do want to talk about that I just came across. So, comedian actor Wayne Brady.
Did Wayne Brady choke a bitch?
Nah, he dicked one down. He is has impregnated his ex-wife to give her and her boyfriend a baby that they will adopt, and he will become the daddy uncle to the child.
That's new.
Also, the baby's godfather. Which all of this shit sounds ridiculous as fuck.
He got a woman pregnant.
No, he got his ex-wife pregnant, who he has kids with, I do believe.
Okay.
To give her boyfriend and her a baby that the boyfriend is going to adopt.
So they're not able to have children, I guess is what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the boyfriend, but I'm fine. Like, it ain't even her husband. It's a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
I hope it's infertility.
No, I mean, she's fertile. I mean, the homeboy might be, you know, his juice might not be solid. But it's weird. I'm guaranteed it's her idea. She's like, let me have all my babies by the same motherfucker kind of deal.
Right.
You know, but this is weird as fuck. It's so fucking Hollywood. But we could do that on the next after this break
after
from
this
our
commercial
sponsors.
break. Yeah. Well, we do have one sponsor. It's what is it? Anchor.
Yes, we do have Anchor.
Yeah,
yes.
So the Anchor app, exactly. All right, we'll be back.
All right. So we will.
All right. So Chino and I were talking, saying like, we have a doctor in the house. I thought we were going to talk about the Rona, and I pointed out that no one gives a fuck about the Rona anymore.
We've been desensitized, as it were.
Yes. After like, nearly 2 years of the Rona, everyone's like, yeah, that's it. You know what? Fuck it. If it kills us, it kills us. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah. I mean, the only question I would have for Dr. Manhattan is like, are your hospitals still crowded? Because I hear the South is, really still in the midst of this thing.
It was pretty bad. So we just had our third surge. This just kind of come to a close. So we had about 3 surges, and when it got bad, it got pretty bad. I mean, I think people don't really appreciate, but like what happens is that the hospitals get inundated with patients, and so then there's nowhere to send anyone. So basically, if you come in with some illness that's severe or non-COVID related, there's nowhere to send you to. So you're essentially wherever you go. And it's really the South and the Midwest because, like on the West Coast and the East Coast, basically there's hospitals everywhere. So, there's always some place for you to go. But I know you guys were having problems too. But yeah, where we were is pretty much there was nowhere to send anybody for like a couple months.
Yeah, because there was a news article I read about a military veteran who needed to have his gallbladder removed. He was like in imminent danger of dying, and he needed to get it removed. And this is in Texas. And he went to the hospital, and they told him, "Yeah, we can't help you here." And so they ended up having to airlift him, and he died on the way to the hospital to get his gallbladder removed, which I hear is a routine surgery now.
Yeah, it's pretty routine. I think the thing, like, I guess what kind of is shocking to me is that the general public, like the lay public, really doesn't appreciate like kind of the severity of what's going on. I mean, I think people appreciate that it's a pandemic and it's bad and blah, blah, but I don't think they really appreciate like the actual, ramifications of what's happening, because it's really, I mean, we really hit like a crisis point where it was basically like, if you got sick and you needed some like subspecialty care that you could only get in one place, there was nowhere for you to go. Like you could not go anywhere, even if you wanted to. Like literally, there's nowhere for you to go. And so I don't think people really appreciate what that means. I mean, that means that like you could have let's say you have a stroke or something, you could show up and not be able to get the care that you need no matter where you go, and there's nowhere to go. And I don't think people appreciated that. I mean, I think people were just thinking, well, I feel okay, or, blah, blah, that's somewhere else. But it was like, no, it's pretty much everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
South and the Midwest is worse. So, it was bad. I don't think people really appreciated that.
Well, that's the main point I'd be pushing to people is like, if the hospitals are filled with people who are sick with COVID, and then it stops the regular shit from happening. Like if you have a different type of injury, you go and you can't get service because the hospitals are filled. Well, so it creates like tertiary problems within the system if you allow this shit to rampage.
They'll just do.
It's okay.
No, I was gonna say they'll just do what they do in the Navy. Take some ibuprofen and call me in the morning.
Well, I think the thing though that I've seen primarily is that, I think most people, whether you are like pro-vaccine or not, is that people feel kind of like, I still want to think about it. I want to kind of see, for myself or blah, 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 or, I don't really associate with people. I'm gonna be fine. And then you get it, and then you get rapidly ill and you deteriorate. And then I basically saw people where they just didn't really appreciate, like, wow, this is really happening fast. It's like, yeah, it's happening really fast. Like, that's what we've been talking about on the news. And, like people just like were very shocked at how quickly it can go from 0 to 100. Like, I mean, I've gone to talk to people and be like, look, we're going to put you on life support. And they're like, for real? Like, yeah, for real. Like, that's like, yes, like this is really happening. Like, this is what we're talking about. And I just think the regular people don't, lay people don't really appreciate it can go from 0 to 60 pretty quick, and it gets really egregious, and there's nothing you can really do about it. I mean,
yeah. And not only that, you have your post-COVID syndromes and like, the shit that happens afterwards, the shit that you have to live with.
Now Chino and I,
that's the other stuff people don't talk about.
Yeah. Now Chino and I have this hypothesis that the Rona is an airborne infection. but it seems to affect blood-rich areas the most, like, you know, the kidneys, the liver, the lungs, the brain. Like it really
The blood itself.
Yeah, like the blood itself, like it really tends to really enjoy those areas.
Well, that's kind of part of what it does is the damage that it does to the lungs is really more of like a vasculitis, like a small blood vessel injury type of thing, and an inflammatory cascade that kind of takes off and just really does a lot of damage over time.
Which is what the flu doesn't do.
Yeah, unlike the flu. Yeah, something like the flu in that regard.
Continue. I interrupted. I apologize.
No, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty bad. I mean, I mean, the community where I work, you know, it's not where I live, but where I work. I mean, it's a small community, so it's very much like, you know, everybody knows everybody and that kind of thing. And so you've seen a lot of, you know, like my mom got it and she died. My sister got it, she's on life support, and then my brother got it and he died as well. Like, I mean, you've seen like multiple fatalities in the same family. You know what I mean?
Man, my condolences, bro. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, not me personally, but I mean, you know, like I've seen families where it's like more than one person got it, and they likely got it from one another, and then you've had more than one death in the same family. You know what I mean? So it's like,
oh, okay. I was confused. I thought your family had caught it and died, and I'm like, man, not my condolences, man.
I will say though that like I had a family member that you know, their mom got it, and she was pretty much like, I don't want to go to the hospital because I'm afraid to go to the hospital. Yeah. And so they were saying like, well, can we just get her some oxygen, you know, for home? And I was like, no, you really need to go to the hospital based on what they were telling me. And she ultimately died, but I remember talking to her children, like really encouraging them to get vaccinated, and they were still on the fence. They were still very much like, I don't know. I mean, I maybe have to think about this, or I have to see how, I don't know. Some people were adamantly like, nope, still not getting it. Some people were like, all right, I'll get it. And some people were like, I just need to do more research. And I was just like, you know, thinking to myself, like, wow, you have a close family member that died as a result of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
now,
so my feeling is that people have made up their minds. There is no, you know, I mean, you know, people have made up their minds. If they haven't gotten the vaccine at this point, they're not somebody that's likely to get it, you know?
Yeah. Now I have a question, because I like predicting the future. I like being Sabino Damas every now and again. Now that we didn't have a big flu season last year because people were covering their face holes, you know, avoiding people like the plague. And so, you know, people were staying, washing their hands and all of that shit. I don't feel like that's going to happen this time. So that surge of, you know, that double hit, you know, that double kick to the nuts that they were talking about last year about the flu and the Rona, you know, existing in you know, in unison with each other. Do you foresee that happening, especially since now that people are like, well, they didn't get the flu vaccine to begin with, and now all these nasty ass motherfuckers that are anti-vax about everything, are they just going to make the situation worse now?
I don't know. I mean, I will say I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I would hate to imagine what a flu and corona, like I don't even know what that would look like. I haven't seen any flu and corona at the same time, but I think it would probably be bad. I mean, if it did happen, it would probably be something unlike anything we've ever seen, but hopefully it won't happen. But yeah, we pretty much knocked. I mean, I didn't really see any flu this past flu season because, you know, everybody was masking and separating themselves and stuff. So you didn't really see a lot of it. We did see RSV, you know, in kids, but I didn't really see a lot of flu. But I mean, I guess if you got flu and corona at the same time, it probably wouldn't go good for you. It probably wouldn't play out well.
Yeah, because I mean, like as an MD, right? Like I would say, imagine someone got the flu, right? Which is already going to debilitate their lung capacity, their lungs in general, right? And it's going to set them up for bronchitis and pneumonia, right? If they already have that, and then they get the Rona, you know, because they've decided, you know what, I'm just not going to vaccinate myself, right? What would that just be like, you know, compounding the negative outcome, as Dr. Fauci says?
It wouldn't be good. I mean, I definitely think it might not play out well for you. I mean, I will say that, you know, I have seen I've seen young people come in, young, previously healthy people. When I say young, I mean like 50 or less, but, you know, relatively healthy people, no medical conditions, get corona. and get deathly ill, end up on life support. Certain percentage of those people die, right?
Yeah.
And then I've also seen elderly people like in their 80s and 90s who have been vaccinated and they're nursing home residents. So they might have dementia. They're not even in their right mind. And they're vaccinated and get it and may not even have any symptoms. Like they'll be positive, but like they may have a cough or something, but they're not like deathly ill. So
Yeah.
you know, it's just like the two opposite ends of the spectrum. You have this very elderly, frail person who's been vaccinated who miraculously does fine and survives it and doesn't really have any problems. And then you have this young person who's not vaccinated and gets it and just goes down the tubes. So I've seen it both ways, but yeah, I don't know. I hope that, you know, we don't see a flu and corona, you know, double whammy, but I think we're victims of our own success. Because honestly, if corona was like deadly like Ebola, where you go to Walmart and you see somebody dead in their car, or you saw somebody laying at the bottom of the stairs, or, you know, you saw somebody dead at the bus stop or something, I promise you there would be no problem in getting people vaccinated. I think it's the fact that it's kind of like this situation where you feel like you got a good chance that you could survive it that makes people feel like, you know, I'm uncertain, I'm unsure, I don't know if I want to take this vaccine, and I think I got a good chance that I could survive it if I did, or I know somebody who survived. But if
I don't think it's the deaths, it's the reactions, right? So like if corona gave you mad acne, right? Or some kind of visible, you know, some form of visible trait that you would dislike.
Yeah.
Then it, you know, it would change things. Like you need some form of negative reaction. You know what I'm saying?
Your dick stops working.
If it made your skin peel, if it
like leprosy, you know, like if it gave you leprosy.
Yeah.
Like if you were bleeding from all your mucous membranes, like if like let's say you left
that's
your
Ebola.
House. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You left your house and you saw some dude walking down the street and you're like, man, that dude don't look good. And he's bleeding from his eyes and mouth and he's having bloody diarrhea and he looks like he's about to fall over and he falls out and dies right in front of your apartment building. You'd be like, okay, I'm not even trying to see what that's like. I'm getting vaccinated. Like if you were terrified of even coming near anybody, I promise you, you would, you know, if it was deadly like Ebola or rabies or something like that, I don't think you'd have a problem with people getting vaccinated. I think,
or if these people were actually at home dying opposed to alone in the hospital. So the fact that
there are people dying at home. You know, there are people dying at home. Yeah, no, and Dr. Manhattan's right. You know, like Chino and I, we talked about this too, and we said that the reason why, you know, people would, you know, in George Washington's time got vaccinated against smallpox is because you can obviously see like boils on people's, you know, skin and shit, their bodies.
Right.
Same thing with the plague. You know, when the plague and what's the other one? Cholera. Right? You were seeing people like dead in the streets, like bodies piled outside, and people coming around in wheelbarrows picking them up.
Or yellow fever. I mean, you know, fever. I mean, we had a huge outbreak of yellow fever, you know, in Louisiana and through the South back in the day. So, I mean, you know, and those were high mortality illnesses where, you know, a lot of people died. So I think if corona was the same way, you'd probably see a lot more people get vaccinated. Not that I, you know, poo-poo on people that don't get vaccinated, but I mean, I get people's apprehension and that kind of stuff. But I definitely think it's pretty clear cut that, you know, the disease is worse than the vaccine. I mean, by all means.
Clearly.
Now here's a funny thing. Speaking of yellow fever. So an internet friend of mine, she was, you know, complaining about being vaxxed and the mandate and all this other stuff. She's like, I'm moving to Ghana. And then I go check and Ghana has like mandates for fucking vaccines. They don't necessarily have it for the Rona, but you have to get yellow fever and a couple others. So if you don't have those vaccinations, you can't go to Ghana. I actually had this conversation with a couple of people, and they was like, well, I've traveled to Europe and shit. I'm like, yeah, because you're in the Western space. You got all the same shit. Like we got same protocols. But if you try to go to certain African countries and whatnot, you're gonna have to get shots to go there. You can't go to fucking.
We just Chino and I discussed that you know there are places where you have to get vaccinated before you go over there.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, like my homeboy had to go for my old job. He had to go to Haiti to take some photographs and video and shit like that. And he had weeks of, you know, like I gotta go see the doctor. I gotta, you know, several series of shots to even get to where he was going.
Yeah, we had our last deployment, we had to take
Smallpox
malaria pills and smallpox and malaria.
And they offered anthrax, but that was voluntary.
Well, unfortunately, what it feels like is this probably is going to be an endemic condition. So I think that, unfortunately, probably 10, 15 years from now, we're still going to be talking about, are you going to get your COVID booster and all this kind of stuff? Because it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let alone let us get like a deadly variant. Let's get a variant, that's actually like truly deadly. And then, who knows what's going to happen. So, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about something much more entertaining. Wayne Brady got somebody pregnant.
I don't know. Okay, so all three of you motherfuckers have kids. So
yes.
Would you do some shit like that for an ex?
No.
No. No. Definitely not.
We got one holdout.
Hold up.
It's the one I placed my money on. Come on. Give me that non-conformist answer. Come on.
You contrarian.
Don't break the streak now. Don't break the streak.
I am one sick bunny, and I might. It depends.
Well, no. You're gonna give it to your ex and let her boyfriend adopt it. So that you don't have any legal rights to the kid.
I can't do that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Look at that.
I like owning.
I'm losing money right now.
I like owning my kids.
Right. Yeah.
Look, that speaks to some deeper issues, though. If you coming back to me to have your, so you moved on and I moved on, and you're coming back to me to have your child within your new like that. There's some deeper issues, like
right,
deeper problems.
Now the only thing I can figure is, one, the dude swimmers ain't swimming. Two, he doesn't want to bear, literally doesn't want to have kids the natural way. Because he has an illness he doesn't want to pass along or some shit. I know somebody who took some DNA tests and was like, yeah, I'm not having kids because they might have something that fucks them up, right? Or three, maybe her boyfriend used to be a girlfriend.
Well, but with like artificial insemination now, you can, even if you had like, some undesirable, they can sequence it and find you a clean,
They can filter it out.
No, I'm just saying like, they can, we have means of managing that.
Right.
From the sperm side, but do you have it from the egg side?
Yeah, you can sequence both parents and see what the likelihood is. And not only that, when you do in vitro, it's not like you do just one, you do several.
What was it? I think it's called Tay-Sachs or something like that. Yes. So somebody I know has who's a female has that gene. So she was like, I'm definitely not having kids.
I think that's kind of over. The likelihood that you're going to meet someone else who has a gene or trait for Tay-Sachs and you guys are going to have a child with Tay-Sachs is possible. It's unlikely, though, I would say.
What is that, and what's the allele frequency on Tay-Sachs?
I don't know specifically. I just know it's rare. It's exceedingly rare. Like the likelihood that you would meet someone else who would also have the trait that you guys would then have a child who went on to have Tay-Sachs is exceedingly.
So in that case, both parents have to have that same gene
have to
in
be
order
carriers.
For the kid to have. Oh, okay, I thought it was like if you got it, the kid could have it, kind of.
No, because she doesn't have it. So you have to have your spouse would have to have the trait as well, and then you could pass it on, but. I'm saying that it's so rare and so unlikely that if you were really worried about it, you could just go get genetic testing with your spouse and see if they carry the gene. If they don't, then go ahead and have kids. I wouldn't say just not have kids because of the possibility. It's pretty rare.
So my children should be safe from thalassemia then, because I know that the chances of my ex-wife having thalassemia as well is pretty rare.
Well, thalassemia is a lot more common, but still, rare. So I would say that if you were going to have kids, you probably, if you were concerned, you could get tested. But like you and your spouse, or your parents' child, your child's parent. But I think the likelihood is still very rare. I think you'd probably be safe just going and rolling the dice. I mean, I think it's very unlikely.
No, I mean, my two boys are pretty healthy. They're not really presenting with anything that would be a cause for concern. So I think my dice roll was pretty good there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I never heard of that Tay-Sachs or whatever. So
it's a metabolic disorder. I mean, it's pretty rare. Like, I mean, I've never seen anybody with Tay-Sachs. I mean, not that I was aware of, but it's a bad illness. But I think that the likelihood of the prevalence in the population is pretty low.
Yeah.
I mean, the likelihood that you're going to encounter someone else with the specific genetic makeup to predispose your children is probably exceedingly low.
Yeah.
All a game of probabilities.
Yeah.
Evidently.
So I may have missed it. Now, did Wayne Brady give her the business, or was this in vitro fertilization?
That part I did not see because I didn't read the whole article. I just read the headline. Which I was like, this tells me all I need to know to talk about it, because it's weird. Like, I for one wouldn't want to have kids running around that I don't have control over or input on.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he's like, I'm gonna be the dunkle. So like she's gonna give your kid some random dude's name who's not even married to her.
Yeah.
And your other kids live with her, and that's gonna be their brother, but they're not gonna have the same last name. And it puts that kid in a weird predicament. You know what I'm saying? Within the family unit in itself.
So I'll give you the contrarian answer now. Like, if it's in vitro fertilization and not giving the business, I'm okay with that.
It's too disconnected for you, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's a very disconnected thing. I still, I mean, the more DNA I have out there, the more successful I feel like I would have been.
Winning at the game of life.
That's right. It's the game of survival here, right? It's a game of numbers, right?
Watch me proliferate my genes.
Yeah.
Up there.
I got one I would ask you guys about. Hey Jones, this one with you in mind in particular. So the rapper The Game, I remember, I think he had a custody battle, or he had some type of legal battle with his ex fiance or girlfriend or whatever. He had some type of legal, thing with her. I think it was a custody battle. And basically your boy did not show up to
court.
No,
that was a rape case, nigga.
Oh, that was but he didn't show up to court, and basically she just got awarded his master's.
I know, it's lovely because I really don't like The Game. I'm a hater. So
I mean, all he had to do was show up and defend himself, and he could have gotten some type of mediated settlement. Your boy
like none of the evidence was actually heard because he never showed up, and it was a civil case. It wasn't a criminal case.
Yeah,
he basically said he sexually assaulted her in some capacity. I don't remember if it was like he actually full on penetrated her or just broke her or something like that.
But she walked away with his master's though.
Yeah, no, she walked away with everything, all of his intellectual property.
I was just
damn.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he tried to do some stuff, and I think he tried to put some things in somebody else's name, and the court came like, nah, you can't do that.
Yeah, he just lost the game. He just lost the game.
Yeah, the game lost the game. Yeah. I mean, that fool should have LLC'd his ass before anything. Anything.
What could he possibly been doing that was so important that he could not go to court to defend himself?
Right.
Didn't take it seriously.
Probably doing what Tron did in the Chappelle Show. He was caught up in some poontang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's stupid.
Doing hood rat
Is that today?
Oh, is that shit?
Hanging out with his friends doing hood rat shit.
Pretty much.
I think because Pete, Hip Hop News was covering this shit for a long time, and he was just saying that the chick was lying, it ain't true, XYZ, she a groupie, blah blah blah. And I think he just didn't take it as seriously as he should have.
Hold on. Let's rewind right quick. So Homeboy wasn't Tron in the Mad Real World episode 2?
Yeah. Tron is a recurring character in the Chappelle show.
When he goes, I slept with Katie too, man.
His first appearance, I believe, was in the episode of Reparations, the Reparations episode. I just bought this baby cash.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, one of my favorite lines is, in the Mad Real World skit, when he goes, when he talks to the white dude, as he's leaving, he's like, "Hey, I slept with Katie too, man," and he goes, Kitty had some big ass titties.
But so I think the game essentially is, a victim of his own success at this point. Like he feels like he was just so big that it would just, go away.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Like I personally don't understand how the game is famous.
Right.
Like I've never heard any of his music outside of the one song he did with 50 Cent. I never hear him on the radio, except for that one song he did with 50 Cent.
Right.
Which 50 Cent wrote all of it, even his part. So it ain't even his song. And then he did some kind of long ass freestyle called like 100 Bars and Running or something like that. And I heard that once on the radio. So I'm like, where does this guy? How does this guy even fathom a career? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, he's not a platinum. As far as I know, he's not a platinum artist outside of his first album. So how does he get all this acclaim and fame and any money for her to even have? Because I don't get it.
I think even if you're manufactured, though, even if somebody goes and pulls you out the whatever and puts you with somebody and, just totally manufactured. I mean, even with that, platinum album, you walk away from it with $20 million or something. I mean, I think most people would take that.
I definitely fucking would.
No. I'm just saying. No. I'm just questioning.
You know what I could do with 20 million?
I would personally take Noah Falcon's dick in every hole I have for 20 million.
That's what happened with Waka Flocka Flame. I mean, he basically said at one point, he's like, I got like $30 million. He's like, I don't see the point in continuing to try to rap and all this kind of stuff to eventually fall off. I might as well just stop now. I mean, this is better than I was ever going to do on my own.
Right? I mean, if I had 20 million, I already know what I got, what to do. You take the 20 million, you create a trust, right? Well, you get a bunch of investments, right? That like is say in an index fund, so you can get a percentage. Put that in a trust, and then the trust just pays you the dividends. Right, so that whenever you get sued or whatever, right, all they can touch is just whatever you get out of a dividend. They can't touch the trust itself. Like they can't touch the investments themselves.
That's an interesting point that you bring up, because really that is what separates regular people who go to work and get a paycheck from the the uber wealthy, in the sense that basically you're kind of at a disadvantage by earned income that you get from your paycheck, because you pay such a high percentage.
Yeah.
But if you get your income through dividends and capital gains, you only pay 15%. So that's really how ultra wealthy do it. And if you think about people like Jeff Bezos and those big guys, I mean, what you do is you have billions of dollars locked up in stocks and things like that is just continuing to gain wealth that you're not paying taxes on until you cash it out. And then you borrow money to live on, because, banks will loan people like him money at, 2%, so
right.
Why it's cheaper to borrow it at 2 or 3% interest than it is to cash your stock in and spend it.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It is. It's insane how the rich manage to just, to afford all the shit that they do. And that's not including, like, we discussed on one of the podcasts, like all the free shit that people will give them just so that they can get some bona fides from them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now here I have a list of the game studio albums. Let me know when you've heard one that you've listened to, or
I can already tell you that I haven't heard a single one, and I don't even remember the song that he is famous for. So I'm already out.
the documentary.
Okay,
in
heard
2005.
That was
Devil's Advocate in 2006.
Don't remember that one.
LAX in 2008.
Nope.
The Red Album in 2011.
Definitely not.
Jesus Peace in 2012.
Absolutely.
Nope.
Documentary 2 in 2015.
Nope.
Documentary 2.5 in 2015.
That would be no as well.
1992 in
Absolutely
2016.
Absolutely
Nope.
not.
Born to Rap in 2019.
That would be
Nope.
And 30 for 30 in 2001.
Negative.
Absolutely not.
And that chick owns all of them.
Yeah,
Probably except for,
Well, look,
except for 30 for 30 because that's a new album. So
well, you know what? I'm afraid I'm gonna have to tell you that. I mean, I think that chick lost out.
I mean that was my point.
I think she got the short end of the stick.
That really was my point. I'm like, I don't know how much that's worth because she was probably suing him for more money than his intellectual property was worth. Yeah.
Well, no, she could license his stuff out to like rhyme, to compilation discs and stuff like that. So I mean,
I was about to say the same thing. Like she could license that shit to, techno artists or something who will definitely probably improve on whatever it is he did.
I wish if he had beef with 50 Cent still right now, she could have sold that shit to 50 Cent. like 50 Cent would have just bought it and be like the guy, oh, all your shit, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? But they're cool now.
Well, no, I'm saying investment groups now are buying people's masters. So she could potentially sell it to an investment group that, might just say, hey, it generates, $50,000 a year. We'll pay her $25 for it. You never know.
Man, Tina Turner just sold her everything.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she probably got a nice chunk of change too.
50 million.
She sold, no, I think she got more than that. She sold her masters. She sold her.
No, the article I read said 50 million. Her masters, her name and likeness, everything.
Yeah.
And she suffers with depression, so somebody should have stopped her from doing that.
Well,
I was like Oprah couldn't hit you off with a 50.
But I think that's why George Lucas sold I think that's why he sold Star Wars, because eventually you get to an age where you're like, okay, I'm not gonna live forever. Number two, when I die, my kids will probably take it and just do whatever they want with it. So why not at least see it go in a direction that you would like it to go and get the money while you're alive and be able to do what you want to see done with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, once you sell it, you don't have no control. Somebody just start leasing your money out for porn movies or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying he's still a consultant on Star Wars. No, that's.
I mean, for Tina Turner though, you know what I'm saying? You sell your name and likeness, and next thing you know, you're on Trina's next album. You know what I'm saying? Using your samples and shit. You know what I'm saying? And
it only matters if you listen to the radio. I mean,
but that might be something that she wouldn't have won her music in, but you have no control at that point.
I'm saying she lives in a Swiss chalet. I mean, she don't listen to the radio. She don't care nothing about Trina.
I mean, she has a boatload of problems. Like I saw her last interview, and she just deals with a lot of emotional stress from abuse from her parents and from Ike Turner.
And I think we all got a boatload of problems. I think she's just trying to make it so that she's in whatever she likes for her money's gonna outlive her. I think is the key.
How old is she now? How old is Tina Turner?
She's probably in her 80s.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, she ain't longer for the world.
I mean, 50 million though in your 80s? Yeah, I'll take it.
I calculated if I lived off the dividends of $1 billion, I would be making $400K a week if I was just living off of 2% of 100 billion, right? Or is it a billion? No, if I had $1 billion and I was living off 2% dividend yearly, I would be making $400K a week. And I calculated I cannot spend that much money in a week.
Sure you can.
I would have to try.
No,
look, we got this thing called The Adventures of Chino and Homeboy that needs to be made.
Right?
You know
That's right.
What happens is every time you try to do something, you be like, how much does that cost? And people be like, 400K.
I know,
Right.
right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, yeah, when that skit, when Dave Chappelle got that fucking, what was it, $50 million, that contract extension or
Right.
whatever the hell, and
Yeah.
people found out about it, like he's getting a
Yeah.
haircut in like Jamaica or some shit, like
Yeah.
$50,000 for a fucking haircut,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
That's probably what would happen. Yeah. That's why you got to keep that shit secret.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I mean, I'm really starting to get to a point in my life where I just think about, you chase wealth and all this stuff, and I mean, we're all gonna die. I mean, you can't take it with you.
That's true.
So it's kind of like, it really kind of makes you. I mean, I don't know. It kind of makes you start thinking. I mean, it definitely can't buy you happiness. I mean, it can buy you temporary happiness, but it can't buy you like fulfilling happiness. And you can't take it with you. And once you're gone, whoever's left who inherits it or gets their hands on it, they're gonna do whatever they want, regardless of
Yeah.
what's wished or wanted or whatever. So, it's kind of like, you might as well just be happy. I mean, that's really all.
Yeah, absolutely. I just
Well,
want my family to be taken care of.
Yeah.
same here.
And
Same
just make
here.
sure your money outlasts you.
Right.
That's
Pretty
right.
much.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we're reaching the end here. So thanks, Dr. Manhattan, for being a guest on the show. You're more than welcome to come back anytime you have time outside of you fighting the Rona and keeping people alive.
Saving lives out here.
That's right.
My pleasure. Glad to catch up with y'all.
You're the real MVP, man.
Pretty much.
So, all right. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We should be having a shop up soon. And push us like crack.
That's right.
All right.
All right. Until next time, homies. Peace.
And konnichiwa, bitches.
Oh shit! Watch the Wu-Tang Clan show. This shit's awesome.
Wash your hands. Wash your hands, too.
Yeah, wash your hands, cover your face, holes, do all that shit.
That's right. That's right.